We have a titanic clash coming up next week, Monday. Newcastle United versus Liverpool at St. James's Park. Who wants it more? Let's find out right here on Toon Tactics TV, folks.
Brilliant from Cher. And now Murphy can take on the shot. Fabian Cher wins!
All right, folks. How are you all doing? I am so blessed. I'm having a good day, a good week. I'm even better now that I'm here with you guys. Lots and lots happening with Newcastle United, as we know. We've got a little clash coming up on this Monday with Liverpool, and I'm so happy to be back doing tactical breakdowns and just talking football with you guys. And I've got an incredible guest, as always, our man, Bobby Fairview, who's very much an incredible, not only, it's not even a guest no more, like just a member, just he is who he is. And great to have him on the show with me today. Let me invite him on. Bobby, how are you doing, sir? Hope you're well.
I am well, Philip. I'd like to describe myself as a friend of the channel.
Oh, that's it. That's the best. That's the better word. The friend of the channel.
Yes. I finally got my headset to work, so we're good to go.
Fantastic. Let's do this. So, folks, before I welcome folks in the chat, just to let you guys know, we're going to be doing, we're actually going to be doing tactical break. We're going to live up to the show's name, Toon Tactics, today. We're actually going to be doing some tactical breakdowns today of the game. And hopefully get to talk.
I'm not here as an expert.
Neither am I. So we're going to be both doing. We're going to be both doing our best, to be honest. But thankfully, we've got an incredible, knowledgeable chat that's going to help us through it as well. We will have also a little bit of conversations of transfers, as always. A little bit of Chelsea transfers as well, and some interesting stuff. That's been going on. We could possibly learn some more. And so what better person than Mr. Blueco himself, Mr. Bobby Fairview to... And guys, I don't know how you like it. I'll put it on the corner of my screen. You can see people's chats and stuff like that. I wanted to make sure you... So let's see. Let me know if you guys like that. It was good to see people. But before we get on to the show, we are getting on with the show, but before we get into the crux of the show and everything that we're doing, let me see how folks are doing. BT, good to see you. God bless you. Good evening, Philip. And those in the chat, good evening. I was going to say Bobby. BT, good evening to you. Adrian Pickett, good to see you. God bless you. Evening all. And Saundry, good to see you, Adrian. BT says, Slott press conference. Oh, yeah. So he said, Slott press conference today was asked, can you tell us about Isak and Guehi? He replied, not a lot. Or what can you tell us about Isak and Guehi? Not a lot. I don't know if you saw, there was also, I saw, it's a small clip. So I don't know if you saw it, Bobby, where, what's his name? Slott was like, where was it we're playing? Is it St. James's Park? Like that, like, he first gave the whole thing about, I think the question must have been, because he was talking about intensity a lot. So the question must have been around, the heat of the clash and everything to do with Isak. And he was like, I don't expect them to be any more intense than they usually are. The last two games they were more intense than us. So he's trying to
he's a really good diplomat, though, isn't he?
He
Slott.
is.
Yeah.
He very, very much is, and I'm looking forward to Mr. Howe's press conference. I'll tell you that. Cy Robson, good to see you as always. God bless you. Evening. Hopefully, it's a little bit more peaceful tonight. It will be. So we're just talking tactics. We're just talking football. Yeah. So hopefully, just.
I was scared to come, so trust me. I know that I know that Newcastle fans are grieving. So I've been staying and let my family do what they need to do together.
I tried my best. Like I was saying, it's like I have to start reading this stuff before I start the show because then I get the emotion out. And then I'm like, okay, cool, I can do it now. And because I was reading it, when I was reading the Isak statement, the more I was reading it and breaking it down, I was like, oh, this guy's annoying me. All right, so BT says, we shall see. BT says, what can you tell us about Isak? Oh, no, I read that already. Good to see Aaron Cave. God bless you. Good to see you, evening all. David Vage, good to see you as always. Amazing to see you. God bless you, sir. Evening, Philip. Oh, my word. Good, I'm always privileged to see Geordie Toon for life. When Geordie Toon for life's on the channel watching, I know I'm doing okay. God bless you, Geordie says, good evening, Philip. I hope you and your family are well. Very well. Thank you so much for asking. I hope yours are too as well, sir. BT says Frimpong is out with a hamstring issue. He is, and we'll talk about that. I don't necessarily think that's a good thing. In terms of, yeah, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. Michael at NUFC, good to see you. God bless you, Michael. Okay, so as we talked about, we're going to do a bit of a tactical breakdown. I've got a couple things I want to see. There was one from, what was the channel's name that I'm going to be looking at? It is, I want to make sure they get their credit, iScout. There's going to be iScout. It's going to be a bit of Adam Cleary. And there will be another gentleman by the name of Gary. just on X, that's how he's known as Gary. He's an Aston Villa fan, and he broke down our game. So I'm going to use the context from that to just kind of give us a feel about how Liverpool play, their strengths and weaknesses, and merge that a little bit with what I was planning to do in the match review for the last game, which we can't do. But I'm going to be just doing a little bit, talking about the things that we've done well, not done well, and things that we could apply in the game itself. So me and Bobby, with our unexpert or inexpert, I don't know what the right word is to say. You probably will know, Bobby. Opinions. We'll put this all together, and
I call it amateur hour.
Amateur hour. That's the right word. All together, but thankfully we've got an incredible panel. We've got you guys to be able to put it together. And just before I start, great to see you, Matt Lou. From South Africa. God bless you, sir. Hello, Philip. Hope you're doing well, brother. Very, very well. Very well. Good to see you. Martin Bland, good to see you. Good evening to you, sir. God bless you. All right, so how do I put it on? Did I remove it? Put it on here. All right, fantastic. Hope you guys like the thumbnail. All right, so before we get into all the bolts and the nuts and bolts of it all, and it's great to have. It's actually good to have you, Bobby. Obviously, you're a Chelsea fan. You don't have that skin in the game, but there's a lot surrounding this game before we even get onto the pitch itself. But it matters. It's obviously in relation to this game. The whole Isak saga, his statement, Newcastle statement. I'm sure you've read it.
While I was watching you read it.
You was watching me read it. You was watching me read it. And thankfully, Mitch was here. He gave his opinions as well. And my camera's already going funny, but that's okay. What do you... So I got myself off there. There's a lot going into this game. There's a lot of fan emotion going into this game. There's a lot of pride going into this game. There's a lot of media speculation. There's a lot of things outside the game basically going into this game, right? What's your initial thoughts about the emotions and the psychology for both teams, for Newcastle, for Liverpool? What do you think? How can both teams? What can both teams do to use it to their advantage, and what they should maybe not do in terms of the emotion? Like, in your opinion, Bobby, start off with Newcastle, for instance.
Sure. So, I think I've always made the observation to you that. So I've only really been new to fan content TV, I want to say, within the last 2 years or so. When I say into it, actually listening to it on YouTube. And I find that Newcastle fans are uniquely protective of their club and anything about the club. So I think that intensity certainly will be felt among Newcastle fans themselves. They obviously feel disrespected by Liverpool and the way Liverpool fans have been conducting themselves, basically feeling entitled to your players.
Yes.
But meanwhile, you were doing it to Brentford with Wissa, who was on strike. So and Liverpool just had it done to them by Real Madrid. So look, there's a generous helping of hypocrisy all around here. But it creates the atmosphere and the intensity, and Sky Sports is going to be juicing it. I think it's going to be the crowd is going to be up for it.
Yeah.
Will the Liverpool players be? I'm not sure. I think it might just be business as usual for the Liverpool players themselves. I don't think the Newcastle players should let that affect them. I actually think Eddie Howe should be focused on trying to keep the noise out of the dressing room. I don't know. I think he can be successful at that because, I mean, I think these guys are professionals. They're top professionals. They're very experienced. It's not like the kids at Chelsea, for example. These guys are going to be able to focus. So I think on the pitch itself, I expect it to be fought on sporting principles. I think Newcastle needs to be concerned about the fact that you drew the opening match. You don't want to go into this game losing points again. Otherwise, it's going to be a pretty tough start, right? So I think off the pitch there's going to be a lot of emotion. I think it's going to be professional on the pitch, just because of what's at stake in terms of league and that kind of thing. And I know that's a boring answer, but that's my assessment of what I think is going to happen.
I think it makes sense because look, the last game we had with him was a cup final. We're not, so and that was pretty intense and everything else. And I think Eddie Howe will know what it means. I think Slott would know what it means as well. They'll both they'd want to be able to use the emotion to their benefit. I don't think the best advice would be ignore the emotion, in my opinion, because you might get yourself caught cold, if that makes sense. So, yeah, I think they have to find a way to get into the psychology of the team of how to use it to their advantage. All right, so let's see what happens. All right, so I did a bit of, as I mentioned, I looked at some of from iScout, and they broke down a bit of Liverpool tactics against Bournemouth. So we'll kind of separate each and one of these, how they play out from the back, how they kind of when and how they use the direct ball, how it's changed a little bit with the new personnel they got, especially with Wirtz and Ekitike. And actually, that's on iScout, and actually kind of tie that into Adam Cleary, who also mentions the difference with Liverpool having Wirtz and having Ekitike in comparison to a Diaz and a Szoboszlai, for instance, in those front areas as well. And that's mainly around not I say work rate, but it's essentially Diaz and Szoboszlai have a better ball recovery, for instance. Maybe not, obviously not. They don't have produced the same magic as your Wirtz and others, but I think Liverpool have had a bit of a trade-off that we're going to talk about. So let's get into it a little bit. And this is firstly from the Bournemouth game, and what iScout was talking about, for those that are looking at the screen, is Liverpool are playing from right to left. Obviously, they're in the red, and this is their build-up play. So they was talking about how essentially they got a 4-2-3-1 setup. You can see Alisson, and this is what we want of our goalkeeper. This is why we want a ball-playing goalkeeper so much. You can see Alisson's on the ball, very, very comfortable, and he almost becomes obviously that 12th, 11th outfield player, with the two centre backs in Konate and Van Dijk splitting on either side, with Frimpong pushing up a little bit and Kirkus on the other. You then got McAllister and Szoboszlai dropping into the middle parts there and making themselves available, whilst Wirtz, you can see here, kind of playing in between the lines between the two midfielders. And right up front, you've got three Liverpool forwards in Gakpo, Ekitike, and Salah, ready to kind of to pinning back the back line of the Bournemouth defense. You can see Bournemouth got 4 men in the back with the third one here being active in terms of possibly engaging with Wirtz and allowing the CDMs to maybe push up, or the RM here to push up towards Kirkers and others. So what he was basically saying, what Ayscout was basically saying, that Bournemouth had a really good, intense start to the game, and initially Liverpool were finding it quite difficult to get out of their half. And you'll see later on in the slides that they started using Ekitike as their reference and kind of hitting it direct to him laying it off with one pass touches to Wirtz, for instance. Bobby, I don't know. Did you get to see the game yourself?
I did. I watched the Liverpool game. And just a couple of comments before we actually dive into these technical pieces. And this is something that kind of bridges the gap to your first question as well. I got the feeling from that first match that Ekitike being that reference point and performing the way he did, it actually brought back memories of those watching the screen of early days of Fernando Torres. I don't know why that immediately came to mind. Just the way he was handling the ball, linking up play in midfield. Not that Torres was that much of a link player when he was at Liverpool, but he was like at Madrid, at Atletico. Why is my... You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Sorry, my entire system just went dark. Yeah, and I wondered at the time, as I was watching the game, if Liverpool knew that Ekitike was going to perform this way, would they be pursuing Isak, or would they have pursued Isak as aggressively? And I wonder if they then had a bit of remorse about, biting off too much in terms of doing too much in the window, spending too much in the window. And then how does Slott get all these players to fit together? And Isak is not there yet, obviously, but you could still see that Wirtz is a bit of a problem, I think, with Thomas.
Yeah.
Both of them have characteristics that are, I guess, somewhat opposite to each other, but so necessary for that position and the way they play. And that's more, obviously, Szoboszlai out of possession is very useful when he's playing that 10 role. I found that he struggled a bit in this particular game, now that he was playing a little bit deeper.
Exactly, I agree. And actually, a lot of the stuff that you're saying, it bleeds. Adam Cleary and talks about that as well, and it's also talked about on Ayscout. Mighty Matt, good to see you. NUFC Talk TV always adds class to the show when we see you here. Good to see you, sir. God bless you. And guys, we've got 36 people in the watching live. Please do like, share, and subscribe, folks. If you haven't done so already, we have a high conversion rate when it comes to likes and views. I don't know how many we've got at the moment, but let's try and let's keep those. Let's make sure we hit the like buttons where we can. I think you guys are doing a good job already engaging with one another. A lot of people talking about the price of Isak, which I'm sure we're going to get onto later on in the show. But you spoke about, and I know exactly what you mean about the kind of the feeling around, especially when he broke through for that first goal, Ekitike, and that Torres kind of feel. I know he got a little bit of slice of luck with the ball, but I know what you mean in terms of him running with the ball. So Liverpool started, exactly. So Liverpool started using him as that kind of reference point. You see, Liverpool struggled to play out from the back because Bournemouth had a very intensive press, and we know that Newcastle not too shabby with their intensive presses either. And what you can see, obviously, with the two centre backs and Konate there, and on the right side of and Van Dijk on the right side, they've split. and you've got the two Bournemouth, and people forget Bournemouth even last year I think had one of the highest turnovers in the final third in the league, one of the highest. They were phenomenal at it. So this is no surprise. You can see them pushing with the two centre forwards, blocking off the passing channels, so they can't get over to McAllister, they can't get it over to Szoboszlai. You got one right midfielder here blocking off Wirtz, and the free midfielder here blocking off a direct passing channel to Ekitike, so you'd have to risk a ball over the top. You got an extra man, Bournemouth player here, in case it does get over the top to support the back line. So it became very, very difficult, as we were saying, for Liverpool to get out from the back. And
so in your mind, does Szoboszlai have the skill set to be playing that deeply and trying to advance the ball?
Great question.
Right now?
Great question. I don't see him enough. I don't think he's famed for it. So, and this is the part where they miss Trent. This is the part where they miss Trent and Alexander for that build-up play, because he's able to obviously not go inwards. What's the word again? I've written all my words today. To invert, to invert and to get the ball off. So they're missing that part. But they're obviously a great team and they adapted. So what they started doing is doing the long balls to Ekitike to break that press. And as you mentioned, Bobby, Ekitike did a decent job. He didn't win too many aerial battles, but he did a decent job in getting the ball in the ground, doing one-touch passes here. You can see Wirtz here. And as soon as he did that, you then got, obviously, Gakpo pinning on the left, Mo Salah on the right, and then they'll do these one-touch passes between him and Wirtz and McAllister where they can to go directly past, at the Bournemouth backline there. And it started to bear fruit in different areas. So,
and that's when I thought that John W. Henry probably said to himself, "Where are we buying Isak? Because he doesn't solve this problem."
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Why did we buy? Go on.
Ekitike, and no one want to add Isak, right? It's kind of redundant because Ekitike was doing an excellent job in that particular role there.
And do you see, why would you then buy Isak and then put Ekitike on the left where Gakpo is? And Gakpo is a good player himself.
Gakpo was excellent as well.
He's excellent.
Very underrated. Yeah.
Now, I know people will say depth, but, Gakpo is a bit more than just a depth player. I think he's a first-team player, in my opinion. He's so anyway. So you can see the areas where Newcastle need to make sure they're being strong. And when I show folks later on our game against Villa, our press against Villa was excellent, and they started hitting it long, and it wasn't working for them. So there's something there's some good parts to kind of think about there as well. I've got my own writing here in the middle, but it says in the build-up. So another way that what was beginning to work for Liverpool, it actually kind of I don't know if it answers your question, maybe it does, is Szoboszlai good in the build-up? One of the things that Liverpool started doing was allowing Szoboszlai to drop in, so in between the two centre-backs, in between Van Dijk, you can see, from right to left, folks, you can see there's a red highlight here. This is from the build-up play. You'd have Szoboszlai dropping in between Van Dijk and between Konate. So you essentially got three in the back with the two fullbacks on either side, pinning the two fullbacks of Bournemouth. And again, this time Wirtz and McAllister dropping into that centre half while still keeping the three forwards at the top. And this time Szoboszlai will pick up the ball. Wirtz will drop into the half space. Salah and Frimpong, you can see Frimpong just behind Salah, keeping that width, and the Frimpong will be ready to. You'll see later on that Frimpong starts when they do get the ball through. Frimpong is excellent at doing those underlapping runs. Now, obviously, Frimpong isn't going to be in this game. It's either going to be Conor Bradley or Joe Gomez. What are you going to say there, Bobby?
Yeah, so I was going to add to that. So he's going to be out, but Gravenberch should be back, right?
Gravenberch should be back, and Bradley and Joe Gomez are available. Yeah.
I thought Gomez missed training all week. I think he's out.
Ooh. Okay, so it might be it'd probably be Bradley then.
Bradley's back in training from what I saw today.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's probably Bradley, Gravenberch, which means that question around Szoboszlai shouldn't be relevant, I wouldn't think. Gravenberch is obviously...
You'll be Gravenberch. You'll be Gravenberch.
Very press resistant, right? So you got to think about, well, how are you going to press him, McAllister, given their press resistance?
Exactly. Gordon's excellent at it, but you don't want to, like you said, you don't want to. I think that what Gordon did really, really well against Villa, and he did it for us. He doesn't necessarily, obviously, he's trying to win the ball, but his other thing is to make sure that that the goalkeeper and whoever is the midfielder that collects the ball or centre back doesn't get to pass the ball centrally. So by blocking the channel, so he doesn't necessarily need to get the ball off Gravenberch, but he needs to make sure that Gravenberch isn't able to turn around and lay off to Wirtz and lay off to Ekitike and the rest. If he can do that, he stops all this other mess that could happen in the middle with Wirtz, McAllister, Ekitike picking up the ball, and then all of the other stuff here in the middle. So our press is going to be absolutely crucial from the beginning.
So is Szoboszlai going to be in their starting 11? You think?
Say that again.
Is Szoboszlai going to be in their starting 11?
I think he's going to be on the bench. Where would he go? Because he's not going to bench. He's definitely not going to bench McAllister. He's not going to bench Wirtz.
But what I mean, that's why I started out with this. I think Liverpool has a balance problem. I heard Gal talk about it. I thought it was his typical, just looking for hopium for Arsenal. But he has a point, right?
He's right. He's right.
All right. Wirtz has not got off to an amazing start. I don't know what you felt about his involvement in the game last time. I mean, he wasn't terrible, but the question is him or Szoboszlai. Obviously, he has to start, but you can be missing a lot with Szoboszlai, right?
Yes, and it answers the question. I don't know. When we had it last season, people were saying football's so boring. Where are the number 10s, the people that can make things happen? We got Wirtz. He's a number 10. But when you have that type of number 10, there's a trade-off. And that trade-off is, especially in defensive actions and recovery runs and stuff like that Szoboszlai provides. And look, Wirtz had all the time and space in the world playing for Leverkusen in the Bundesliga. This is just Bournemouth. I say just Bournemouth. Bournemouth are excellent at Anfield. What's going to happen at Newcastle, St James's Park, and someone has to cover for him. Is it going to be McAllister? I mean, he does the recovery runs, but he hasn't. He's not the fastest guy in the world. Gravenberch is just coming back from injury. He's excellent, obviously press resistant. So there's a lot there for.
He was coming from suspension.
So say that again. Oh, he's coming from a suspension. Okay, so he's fit. Okay,
yeah,
so he's fit.
So he should be fit. And you were probably going to sit. Eddie Howe is probably going to sit Tonali on Wirtz, right?
Oh, 100%.
Right. So Tonali's going to sit on him. So you've got Gravenberch.
Joe Linton. Say that again.
I know I was going to ask if you're playing with 5 or 4 at the back.
It will be 4 at the back, 3 when we're going up.
Okay, so all right, but you've started here with Liverpool in possession, right?
Yeah, so this is Liverpool in possession, yeah, breaking out from the back, yeah. Building up from the back, excuse me.
So Tonali is all over Wirtz. And then you got Joelinton is going to be... Who's he going to
Would you put Joe on McAllister, or would you put Joe on Gravenberch? What would you do?
Do you want physical against physical? Because I think McAllister basically pressed by passing around players coming at him, right? Whereas Whereas Gravenberch tries to beat the man with a turn. Is that fair characterization?
Yes. Yeah.
So who you think would handle that skill set best? I'll put Joe Linton on.
Joe
Gravenberch.
Linton would, yeah.
Right, because he's gonna rough him up a bit, push him, nudge him around. He's not gonna be able to turn easily. I'll stick Joe Linton on it.
Because Bruno McAllister got almost the same kind of physical profile. It'd be fine, like between them two.
I think so. So I think that's probably how that's gonna be the midfield battle, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Right, so that'll be the midfield battle. So it shows Liverpool's third goal, and I'll be able to, hopefully, I don't know if I'll get copyright. I hope I don't get copyrighted for it. But Liverpool's third goal was scored in the same manner. Let me see if I can get it for you guys on the screen when they were building up from the back, and this time it was Szoboszlai who dropped into the middle. So let me take a risk and see what we can do. Add to the stage. It's not this one though. It's this one. Can you see tactical analysis on the screen, Bobby?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. So let me see if I can get that there. Is it here? Let me show Liverpool's goal, and this is with Szoboszlai playing from the back. Okay, so can you see the screen? So Van Dijk and Konate are in the middle here. Szoboszlai has dropped back to pick up the ball, but look at if folks can see in the red here. That's where Szoboszlai has dropped in. He's taken up the extra space. So now, even though you got the two Bournemouth midfielders here, with that extra man that Liverpool have, that's the reference point for Liverpool to break that initial press. And obviously, Szoboszlai, he doesn't just stay where he is. When he collects the ball, he pushes up the field into the central areas, and then creating more superior numbers against the four players here as well. So let's just see that play out quickly. You're going to see it in a moment anyway. So Konate is on the ball, gets the ball off to McAllister actually right through the press here, because obviously they don't know whether it's going to get to Szoboszlai or it's going to get McAllister. Get it off to McAllister. He gets it off one touch to Szoboszlai, and you can see the movement already. McAllister and Wirtz are on their bikes, straight into that midfield area. They're beginning to even try and get those kind of numerical advantages here on the right side, with Ekitike, Salah on the top here, Wirtz, Frimpong on the top here, and now McAllister and Szoboszlai about to join them. They press up, Szoboszlai on the ball, scouting, gets the ball off, and you're going to see Adam Cleary talking about this. What Liverpool like to do is get lots of numbers on that right side of the pitch, where either left or right side of the pitch. This time is right side of the pitch. And then once they get the opposition side to shift their players to that side, they shift the ball back to the left, where there's obviously a little bit more space now. Again, 1v1s, creating these 1v1 situations. This time it's Van Dijk who pushes up. Gakpo gets the ball off to back Gakpo. Now Gakpo's in the 1v1 situation. Kirkers makes an overlapping run. Back to Van Dijk again. They kind of overcomplicated it here for me, but fine. McAllister, then you get the space here. Talks about the space here created for McAllister. Again, numerical advantage. Gets off to Ekitike. He's been very, very good. Ekitike now has created the space here for himself. Turns McAllister. Now you can see the space created in between Bournemouth's midfield. Right into the central.
I think that's a run that reminded me of Torres. But anyway.
That's the run that, yeah. That's it. That's exactly it. That's exactly it, Bobby. That's exactly it. And it's quick. It's the 1-2s.
Yeah.
He's about to lay it off. Off to Ekitike.
There we go. That's so Torres, yeah.
That's so Torres, breaks through, and there you go. So Newcastle, there's a lot there for Eddie Howe to kind of chew over and think about in terms of how Newcastle approach the game. Let me remove that and get back on the screen as well.
So couple thoughts there, questions to you even.
Mm-hmm.
Kirk has had a strange game.
Yes.
I did not pay a lot of attention to him last year. I know he comes with a big reputation, but Liverpool fans must be disappointed. I thought Frimpong had an excellent game. Frimpong has actually looked really good. This whole debate about his defensive weaknesses, I don't think anybody has seen it in preseason or even in that first game. So I think they'll be disappointed that he's the one that's injured. Could Gakpo be the one that's benched and Wirtz play out left with Kirkes doing more of an overlap?
Ooh.
No, if I'm Slott, that's what I'm doing.
So you put what would be the thought in terms of putting Wirtz on the left?
So I would have I would go like a 4-3-3, right? So you bench Gakpo. Wirtz is basically coming in from the left from his position, and that way you get Szoboszlai on the pitch as well.
Oh, so Szoboszlai and Gravenberch, so you got both of them together.
Correct. If I'm going to Newcastle against your midfield, that's what I'm doing.
What do you think you lose by putting Wirtz on the left? Or are you thinking he's on the left on paper, but he's going to be playing more centrally?
He's going to drift inside, which is what he's going to naturally do, right? So Gakpo will probably hold more width than he would. But I'd have Elliott stay home more and push Kirkes up. You see, I just feel that for your midfield, Szoboszlai needs to be on the pitch.
What would you do if when the team sheet comes out and Szoboszlai is on the bench? What would your first thought be? Would it be he's made a mistake? Would you think, he's made a mistake?
I think so. I think advantage Newcastle. They don't have that mobility and physicality, I think. The worst is new to the league. He's already struggling for time, right, on the ball.
Yeah.
Right? When Tonali and Bruno are flying at him, it's going to be a whole new world.
With the baying crowd especially.
Exactly. The crowd wanting blood. So that's how I would go. But let's assume, par, which is Gravenberch. But just looking at that build-up there, I just felt Gakpo was a little bit excessive in that build-up play there, particularly with the vulnerabilities that they would then have with recovery pace, etc. And with Frimpong missing, that's a good bit of pace missing as well from the team, I think.
Absolutely. Well, Bradley isn't no slouch though.
Coming back from an injury though, right? I can't see him worrying about there.
Right.
He's not really been playing, has he?
That's true. Let's see what folks in the chat are saying. We've got BM saying, I thought Liverpool weren't good, but when they needed to score, they scored, and they'll be much stronger with Gravenberch. Yeah, can't disagree with that. BT says Newcastle typically defends in the 4-3-3. We defend just a normal state of play. We're in 4-4-2. Then we go into a 4-5-1. But yes, I kind of get what you're saying. Formation, winning possession, and you actually said it there, actually, but often shifts to a 4-5-1 shape. Exactly, BT. Yeah, sorry. I should have read the rest of the comment. Exactly. El Capo says, evening, Philip, and all the mags. God bless you, El Capo. Good to see you. Here we go. Songs 4K says Wirtz drops deep too often, and Sobel still plays like a 10. Nice graphic. Thank you. What do you think? Is that kind of saying what you're saying a little bit there, Bobby?
I mean,
they haven't quite worked themselves out yet.
Yeah. think Wirtz is searching for space, right? So he's trying to get away from his man probably and dropping deeper than usual. But what does that do for them and their press? And I guess we'll talk about Liverpool without the ball shortly. But yeah, I'll be interested to look and see. I didn't observe Wirtz and his ability to press in that last game.
Yeah.
Mobility. Yeah.
Yeah. Songs 4K says, glad Slott listened to the physios and subbed him as soon as there was an issue. Ooh, who was that? Was that? Oh, I missed that part. Songs 4K says, Slott loves a layoff. Ekitike is made to do that. Yeah. Couple more. And like you said there as well, Bobby says, Songs 4K says, Wirtz has to adjust to the speed and physicality. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it.
Hopefully he doesn't do it by the time he hits St. James's Park.
BT
said BT says Liverpool's out of possession is flexible and can shift to a 3-4-3 or even a 3-2-2-2-3. Yeah, they were doing that in the early parts of last season, but Konate was there. He was doing really well. And I think with Trent helps them do that. I think Trent's a big miss for them. Sophie B says, I'm looking forward to Monday. Can't wait. Going to be a great game, I think. It's going to be, oh my goodness. It's going to be serious. Giniesta says, good to see you, Giniesta. God bless you. I think Eddie will go with a 5-3-2 or 5-2-3 to counter Liverpool, who like to have a 5 attackers and forward line. I can see a 5-3-2 for sure to avoid the overlaps and the underlaps. So that's kind of maybe a little bit similar to how we played against Arsenal, actually. Yeah, I can see that. BT says, Liverpool's primary weakness... sorry, missed there. Liverpool's primary weakness out of possession is their susceptibility to counter-attacks, leaving large spaces in central midfield and on the flanks when possession is lost. Absolutely. I think we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So with that, there was something I wanted to... Was there? We are going to talk about the... Where is it? Yeah, I'll back that up in a minute. So moving just to... So that's obviously Liverpool in possession. Adam Cleary adds kind of on his channel was talking about how when he was analysing Liverpool against Palace for the Charity Shield game, that Liverpool were very, very focused heavily on the left side of the pitch where Gakpo was playing. So Gakpo, Wirtz, Ekitike. Wirtz naturally likes to shift to the left as well as Wirtz and the others as well. He feels that's...
So attacking on the left?
Yes, attacking down the left and a lot of the build-up play. Adam was saying that he does feel that it was by design, because what it allowed is for the Crystal Palace to shift to the left side, to that side as well, which would have been to their right side, and it left space for Salah. Salah, obviously, talking about his age. Salah's like 34, 35 years old. He can't be at the same intensity all parts of the game. So what that allowed is for Gakpo, Wirtz, and Ekitike to keep the ball focused on that left side, and when they needed to shift it quickly, they shifted it quickly to Salah towards the right side where they could. So in the game against Palace...
And that's new for them, right, Phil?
Relatively new, yeah.
Normally it would have been up through Trent, Salah, attacking.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. And so in the Palace game, where obviously Salah was being slated for not playing very well, even though what Adam was saying is that this is by design. He had 23 touches versus Palace, where in a typical season last year on average, he would have 50 touches.
Got it. Yeah.
Right? So he feels there's that kind of tactical shift. However, when I looked at Salah's, you'll see it later on actually, when I looked at Salah's touches against Bournemouth, he went back to 50. So I don't know if that's a response to, because remember, they went 2-0 up against Bournemouth. And then they had to fight, to get the win. So I don't know whether there was,
increase in touches in the game, you're thinking?
Yeah, exactly. Because of the game state that they had to they had to, kind of, push the pedal on Salah a little bit more because of where the game was at. They needed to get the win at Anfield.
And that would make sense because Wirtz was not getting a lot of juice anyway.
Wirtz was not exactly.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
exactly. So I wonder maybe if Howe thinks about that a little bit more. How can I get Liverpool to maybe rely on Salah a little bit earlier in the game? Maybe that might be something else to kind of to put it on him type of thing. So let's see. So yeah, they'll love to do this thing where, like I said, all the play will be down the left where Gakpo is, and when they can. This time, Van Dijk launched this big a switch play right towards Salah, and you can see him fairly isolated there with a lot of space. If he gets beyond his man, there's a lot of space there for him. So that's the kind of thing they'll try to do as well. Now, speaking about out of possession and in terms of Liverpool's play, Adam Cleary was talking about Liverpool's, and BT kind of talks about it as well here, susceptibility out of possession. Part of the reason why Adam Cleary mentioned was that, and again, this is in the Palace game, he feels that without Diaz and Szoboszlai in those front areas, Liverpool are missing the defensive actions and especially the recovery of loose balls in comparison to Ekitike and Wirtz, who, and he showed a bit of highlights there where, for instance, the Palace score that they scored, they weren't quite quick enough to react and to respond to it. Let me see if I can even. Oh, that's me. I've got the wrong person there, but I will. I won't play it now, but what he was saying is that in that Crystal Palace game, for instance, through the whole game between Ekitike and Wirtz, they had 3 defensive actions through the whole game. And he feels that that's why Palace were able to essentially just play through the middle a lot of the times because there wasn't the same cover for the midfield area from the front. Wirtz doesn't have that. Ekitike is still learning his way around type of thing. So,
well, that's not even required in the Bundesliga, right?
It's not, not to that extent. I think they do it, but I think this is going to be an adjustment period for Wirtz, isn't it? Like it's not quite the same. So I asked myself, we've got Bruno Gomes who can play out from the back. Shaw obviously can play out from the back really, really well. How are they gonna? I wish Ramsdale could play because obviously he's better on the ball. But if Liverpool don't have the same press and it exposes their midfield a little bit, what do you think the impact could be, Bobby? Like, do you think that's an area that Newcastle can take advantage of, or maybe I'm over egging it a little bit?
No, I think you're absolutely right, and I think that's why it comes back to the point I was trying to make earlier, which is I think if I were him, I would have Szoboszlai on the pitch because he's the one that would compensate for that deficit that's coming from the Bundesliga players, right?
Yeah.
I could see him either pushing Salah up and kind of playing a 3-1-2, if you like, with Wirtz just sitting there in a 10 and Ekitike kind of off to the left, Salah coming in from the right. That could work, and that way you get Szoboszlai on the pitch. But yeah, to answer your question squarely, if they don't do that, advantage Newcastle.
He has Slott's got some choices to make. I should have said it. I'll give my theory at the end why I think he might make the mistake. Mighty Mag says, please hit the likes button. It's free and helps the channel out. Also subscribe to the podcast. Thank you, Mighty Mag. Yes, Thank you for that. Thank you, guys. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Please do get help us to get it out there. We're doing really, really well. I don't know if anybody can tell me how many likes we've got so far, so I can set a target. I don't know if you can see it on your end, Bobby, but Aaron Kane says, I don't want us to play 3 at the back, but might be the best way to go with no striker. Yeah, I think we're going to have to take a little bit of a risk. Gordon, Nilanga, or Sola as a front 2 in transition is going to be an issue for them. I don't know if you had the chance to see much of Osola, Bobby Fairview, but he may lack in clinical edge, but he's certainly got the pace and power to hurt teams.
I saw him once come on as a sub. Only I didn't see a lot of him, and he was coming off the right. There's a disconnect between what Eddie Howe sees in him and what the fan base seems to think.
Yeah. Smokey, good to see you, Liverpool fan. God bless you, Smokey. Good to see you. Hello, Philip. Hello to you, Smokey. Hope you are good. Sophie B says, all the build up to this game, watch it and it ends up being a rubbish 1-1 draw or something. I wouldn't mind it being a rubbish 1-1 draw almost, but I know what you mean. We know that it's not going to be. We know that it's going to be electric. It's going to be absolutely electric. Songs for cases. Frimpong got subbed immediately when he felt his hamstring, avoids more serious injury. Okay, it's Frimpong. Okay. Smokey also says, guys, please do hit the like button and subscribe to the channel, folks. Mighty Max says, one thing for sure, J7 card. Yeah, we can book that. We can book that. Genius says 60. Are we 62 subs away from? Oh yeah. Okay, we're 62 subs away from 1,000. Amazing, guys.
So what? You get monetized at that point, don't you?
I don't know. I heard people say that. Okay, yeah, look, guys, we're 62 subs away from being monetized. That'd be absolute. That means I can't do any more videos and stuff. We'll see how we go, but yeah, that'd be amazing, guys. Let's see if we can do it before the transfer windows. Let's see if we can get 1,000 likes before we say no to Liverpool and don't transfer to Liverpool for Isak. How about that? Janiesta says Van Dijk had 2 touches more than Konate versus Bournemouth. So that naturally led to a left-sided players seeing more of the ball. It did. I think it also led to maybe how Bournemouth pressed as well. But I do. Oh, okay, hold on. Van Dijk had 2 touches more than Konate versus Bournemouth. So that naturally led to the left-sided players seeing more of the ball. Okay. So are you kind of thinking it's not by design? It's more kind of how Bournemouth pressed. Maybe that might be what you're saying. Songs for cases. Diaz was great at pressing and nicking the ball off midfielders from behind. Big miss. Yeah, absolutely.
And then taking Slott out of the team as well. It's both of them going to be missing. I can't see Slott doing that.
I'm so tempted. I'm going to read a few comments. I'm tempted to say why I think he might make a mistake. Maybe not both of them, but I think he might make a mistake. Sam says, Toon Tactics, good to see you, Sam. God bless you. You've got 30 likes, incredible. 36 people seeing, 30 likes. That's what I'm saying. Our conversion rate is through the roof. Absolutely through the better than Jackson's conversion rate, isn't it? I say that and then we end up buying him. I'm already regretting that. Martin Bland says we really need Gordon on the left against one of the 2 left backs that will need swapping out due to fitness. It's a way through hoping we try something else up front. Okay, all right. So again, guys, do get the subs in. All right. So there's a trade-off. We're talking about. There's a bit of a trade-off. Yes, they've got magical players in Wirtz and Ekitike. But there's a trade-off with taking away the Diaz's and potentially the Soboslais, especially when it comes to out of possession stuff. Liverpool in out of possession. Yeah, and I noted this. This is from the Bournemouth game for Florian Wirtz and Hugo Ekitike to just to make sure that it wasn't, because obviously we're talking about what their stats that they got, and I looked at the more stats on the defensive element. So I wanted to make sure. I wanted to see if maybe there was a switch from what happened in Palace to what happened in Bournemouth, and there wasn't. So shots blocked obviously was 0. That's fine. Dribbles attempts. So him even attempting to tackle someone that's dribbling is 0, right? So, right? Ground duels 1, 3 out of 8. It's going to get lower against Newcastle. Aerial duels, I'm not gonna hit him for aerial duels. I don't mind so much possession loss because he's there to take risks. 1 clearance, 0 block shots, 0 interceptions.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Total tackles 2, and I can't see because my finger's not there, but I think he was dribbled past twice, isn't it? I don't know if you can see it on your screen.
Yeah, it's 2.
So he's dribbled past twice, and he's not even attempting to tackle. Right? So, okay.
You know, it'll be interesting. I wish we could compare that to Soboslai in the same position to see what those stats would look like. To see what they're missing.
That's
but we don't have time for that now.
That's a great call. Ekitike ground duels 1. He must have won more than that. 1 out of 5. I'm sure he must have won more than that. Aerial duels 1, a little bit better. 4 out of 6. Possession loss, I don't mind too much about that.
So the question is, would Diaz and Soboslai only have won 4 ground duels between the two of them in a game against Bournemouth?
I find it hard to believe.
I think so. Yeah. They've lost a lot here. They've lost a lot, yeah.
Exactly. And in playing in those positions with those responsibilities,
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe. I find it hard to believe.
That's the problem.
Yeah, and Adam Cleary again talks about that in terms of that same thing in terms of out of possession for Wirtz and Ekitike, and they didn't do very well. Right. So one thing I wanted to note, again, out of possession, Liverpool. It will be. This is from. Who was the gentleman? I want to say counterpress. Counterpress. It is. It will be borderline impossible, he says, for Liverpool to win the league with their current out of possession setup. It is unsustainable to concede transitions of this quality over a 38-game campaign. An assessment of Liverpool's current rest defense issues. So that's when, for folks that might know, it's when the ball breaks loose. Where are the players at that moment, at that time? Are they in their position? So essentially, they're not in position. They're not. It's not a great rest defense of them. It's not. They're out of position when the ball breaks. An assessment of Liverpool's current rest defense issues and potential remedies. They've got a bit of issues essentially out of possession in terms of answering your question directly. Now, I don't have time to go into that specific article.
But a quick one on that to you, Philip.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who last season would have been stopping those transitions for Liverpool? Is it Soboslai?
It would have been Soboslai, it would have been Diaz, and they would have also had a slightly a different defensive shape up, because I think somebody else talked about it, how out of possession Liverpool were 3-2-2. I forgot what the other possession out of it. It's because of Trent. And I keep on emphasizing Trent, because remember, Trent doesn't have to, he can, but he doesn't have to bomb up front like they're different type of players, like a Frimpong and others. They bomb up front. Trent, because of his ability to hit those diagonals, hit those long balls, he can still be deadly whilst being in the final third. So what often at times would happen, he can either invert, and Konate, for instance, would push up and address any attacks coming up towards them, type of thing. But without that sort of cover, without Soboslai, without Diaz, without Trent, you've got Frimpong going up, you've got Kirkus going up, you've got, Wirtz, he's not in the mood to do recovery runs. McAllister doesn't have the same pace, So Soboslai, for instance, having to do two-man jobs, and they made the mistake against Bournemouth of, you'd see them in the penalty. In fact, you're making me want to go back to the article. I'm going to get to make a point. I have to make the point because the article explains it even better. Liverpool stuff. That's Ryan. Where are you? I can't find it. It's annoying. I had it, but yeah, there was just talking about how they were all pressing at one time. There was that imbalance. Now, what you say, I'm going to assume that Arne Slott is a clever manager. He's not going to make the same mistake twice. So we'll be there for that. All right, folks. So let's see what the folks are saying in the chat. Got a few chats as well. Aaron Cave, I really think Botman ball. I would love Botman to play, honestly. I really think a Botman ball into the channels when Kirkers is up he's up the pitch is how we can destroy Liverpool in them transitions. I agree. Even Shaw now. We just need to have to take our chances. Exactly. I absolutely agree with that. That's gonna be key. Wirtz, a pressing mouse. says 4K. Martin Bland says, I've got a feeling he will stick with Burn and Shaw. He will. He's not going to change the backline just for Liverpool. He's not going to do that. Sons 4K says Soboslai is a battler, uses his weight and leans hard. Dark arts. I agree with that. Aaron Kame says we always struggle against number 10s in them pockets. We need to push them up against them, not have any gaps. Yeah, so Burn and Shaw. But I think Shaw wouldn't mind pressing up against, for instance, a Wirtz. And, Burn would be up against Ekitike probably. I don't see that being a big... Say that again?
Do you want Burn on Ekitike?
Do I want Burn against Ekitike? I don't know if we've got a choice. Unless we play 3 at the back and we'll put Malik Chow on. So I fancy Malik Chow against Ekitike, but I don't know if we'll play 3 at the back like that.
So you guys made me think that you do need to play 3 at the back, but anyway.
That could be a thing. That could be a thing, honestly. Because Malik Chow or a Botman. So yeah, a Botman or a Malik Chow against Ekitike, I'm very comfortable.
And Botman was training, right?
Yeah, he's training. He can probably do.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, he can probably do about 50 to 60 minutes.
Okay.
Lee Mag says, oi, oi. God bless you, Lee Mag. It's good to see you. Martin Blanton shut down Gravenberch and you break the transition between defense and attack. Step up J7. Exactly. We were saying that earlier on. That's absolutely right. Mighty Mag says, oh, he's welcoming Lee. Adrian Pickett says Bobby's back in his wine cellar.
What do you mean by that? I wish I had wine. They're good for you.
Martin Bland says Chow will probably get his debut at 60 minutes, possibly.
Come on for Botman.
Come on for Botman. Yeah, exactly. Now let's talk a little bit about Newcastle. What we can do, and I'm going to use a little bit of what Newcastle did against Aston Villa.
No, I was really looking forward for your debrief on that game. It's a pity those Isak statements blew up.
Man, I had it all.
I really wanted to hear your thoughts on
I had some extensive stuff going on. I'm like, goodness gracious. And then Isak just gets on the Instagram. I'm going to get into it now. He gets on his Instagram and he wants to tell people how his feelings. So we are where we are. I'll try to merge the two. So a couple of things that we did really well, and this is from Ryan. I don't know his kind of scouting background or anything like that, but he seems quite intelligent about what he says. He's actually an Aston Villa fan, so he's seeing it. Which adds a little bit more context to it.
Let me apologize, Philip. So I'm in Bermuda working at the minute, and there's a bit of a tropical system that has just started affecting the island, so you might hear some thunder coming through.
No problem. Look at that. International Toon Tactics. We're in Bermuda already. Look at the dedication from Bobby. He's in Bermuda and he's giving us this time. That's incredible. Thank you, Bobby. So Ryan says, and it's literally from the beginning of the first half, we did like a rugby kick to the for a throw in, and we started pressing from the beginning. And he notes this. He says throughout the first half, we beat Aston Villa. So he's telling the scout report from an Aston Villa lens. So throughout the first half, we struggled to work out routes to bypass Newcastle's 4-1-4-1 man-to-man press once triggered. They're so consistent out of possession Interesting. Distances are tight and shapes are formed rapidly. So now I know Aston Villa are not Liverpool. I get that. But the main thing I'm getting out of that is Newcastle are good out of possession. Like they can press.
Yes.
They're disciplined. There's whatever they're doing off in training is coming out. Like, and the Villa fan is noting this is like, oh, these guys are, this is no joke. They're pretty good out of possession. You've got to take them seriously. Sorry, Bobby, were you going to say something?
No. I agree. I was agreeing with you.
Yeah. So that's what he was noting. And again, speaking of how he's also saying, so Aston Villa tempted Aston Villa to do the long ball. Newcastle had this covered as well. So you'll see that, see Bizzot, their goalkeeper, pass map. So maybe an idea would have been to rotate Onana and Tielemans. So this is Bizzot, their goalkeeper. Whoa.
Are you hearing that?
Yeah, you're right there, Bobby.
It's wild out there. No, it's literally a system that just formed in the Atlantic this week, and it's not quite a storm yet, but it's pretty significant.
Wow. Okay. Well, if anything, because
no, I'm okay. I'm good,
yeah. You're not under pressure. Like, I'm not saying I don't care if a hurricane comes through. Like, so this is Aston Villa's goalkeeper's pass, man, Bizzot. He's having to hit the ball long, and you can see via the red lines is proven to be very access because Newcastle's press is so good. He's having to hit it long, and you can see by the red lines that it's proven to be unsuccessful. We saw earlier in our analysis of Liverpool when they had to hit it long against with Ekitike and others that they were getting some joy of it. I think Newcastle can improve on that, can do a little bit better. So there's a potential that Newcastle obviously seem to be, at least in their out of possession play, are doing relatively good. What else does he note? So he says so this is the other thing I want to talk about. He's talking about Newcastle now from a point of view where, so Aston Villa have just attacked. You can see about 4 or 5 Aston Villa players in the penalty box. And he's talking about Newcastle in transition and how good they are. So he talks about how it's a blind cross from Cash. It falls to nobody, a perfect come alive situation for Newcastle. And look what's happened to our rest defense. So where their players are when the ball breaks loose. Onana and Kamara, you can see them both in the penalty box, or at least one of them in the penalty box. Have anticipated scenarios and vacated the second line, which is supposed to be outside of the penalty box. And what happens? At this stage, the ball breaks to Mr. Elanga, who runs centrally before laying it off to Gordon. And this is the red card for Konza situation. We're going to see Gordon's through on goal, and Konza pulls him back. I mentioned this and I highlighted this part because we've talked about Liverpool out of possession and, how they need to improve on their rest defense, which they might still do. Obviously, this is just the first game of their campaign. So there's the point where how Newcastle, I think, can and will likely be able to hurt Liverpool. What's your thoughts on that, Bobby? Do you think we're clutching at straws, or do you think, yes, that if Newcastle do stand a chance to get something out of the game, especially in terms of being able to hurt Liverpool on the other end, is going to be their ability to hit Liverpool in the transition?
Absolutely, and that's where their weakness is. But I think that Slott will come into this game. I don't know if you listened to his press conference, but he was very much focused on that transition issue. He got questions on it, and he was pointing to Gravenberch as a bit of a solution because he was missing him in the midfield last time. So I think yes, but I think if Bournemouth had not exposed it as much as they did last time, Slott is not going to be resting on his laurels. But a couple observations here, though, from your last game. So you actually had 60% possession in that game. Did you realize that?
No. No, I didn't know that. No,
You
actually,
did.
I did. Yeah, no, I did actually. Yes, I did. Yeah. Sorry, I did. Yes.
I was a bit surprised by that, particularly Villa had 4 midfielders on the pitch as well. But you actually, and FootMob has been publishing some good stats around physical performance. So you were quicker than them.
Yeah.
Had a lot more sprints, etc.
More sprints. Yeah.
Right. So I think that now when you're talking about Newcastle now in possession, correct, or out of possession?
In possession.
In possession. Yeah. So I think, can you sustain that against Liverpool? I'm not sure. It's not going to be nearly as high as 60%. I think it's going to be pretty even.
Let me get the sofa scoring.
But I do think that Slott is going to be very conscious of getting caught on transition.
He's gonna have to do what you.
I'm thinking so.
Yeah.
In terms of changing up that team, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
So what would have to be the midfield again? What you were saying again?
I feel as though Gakpo is the luxury player here. He gets dropped. And Szoboszlai, I don't like to use this term box midfield, but you basically set up a diamond in midfield. I could see them doing a diamond midfield.
So Wirtz at the tip of the diamond.
Szoboszlai on the right to support Salad, and
okay.
Right, and Callison on the left working with Wirtz, but with Kirk is pushed up and Elliott staying home.
Right. That makes sense.
So I can see them doing that. So you'll be out of possession in that instance. But then you would catch them. So how would you be catching them? You'd be trapping Kirkes up top, and you'd be relying on Elangman to push. You might get some juice on the right flank.
Yeah. Just looking at our stats against
on transition.
Yeah, we had even the more momentum. You can see the momentum bar, the attacking momentum.
It's physically outperforming in every department against Villa's a very physical team.
Yeah, exactly. Where is it? Here we go. Stats. Exactly what you were saying. SofaScore have improved on their stats, like you were saying. Fabian Shaw was man of the match according to them, but it's
FootMob that I was using. They've put some physical performance stats in. I don't know if SofaScore has.
We're using FootMob. Yeah, they've got it. I thought they did. Or was it FootMob? I must have been looking at FootMob. Okay, let me see.
What you're looking at, because I think that I've only recently noticed that for this season. But some really useful information there. So you can see. I mean. And this is why I think Slott might do the same thing. Slott is going to think he's going to be on the back foot, I think, with the anger and momentum coming from the crowd, the ferocity, right? I think Newcastle is going to be a lot more fired up. I think he has to do what Villa did and just pack the midfield, pack the pitch with 4 midfielders. But he's not going to cede possession, so that's where it's going to get interesting.
Well, just on that, let me just make sure you guys can see what I'm seeing. You can't see that. So I'm gonna let's get into we're getting into the mind state of trying to get into the mind of Slott, and 60% possession, 1.43 in terms of expected goals, total shots 16. We had 8 shots, I think, in their penalty box as well. SofaScore was showing me. I can't believe I couldn't see that before.
See that physical performance box there?
Where is it? Oh, yeah. Wow. Okay. 5 kilometers more in terms of distance covered, 110. They've got walking stats as well. Incredible. Running 73.9. Again, about 7 more than theirs. Sprinting 2.7, 0.8 more than theirs. Number of sprints.
In an away game. So this is an away game.
132 sprints to 93. Yeesh. Top speed 35.5 to their 33.37. So we're faster, stronger, ran more. Pretty good. Pretty
So
good.
the question is, can you do the same against Liverpool? And if Szoboszlai is not on the pitch, you will.
So let's get in. So we're talking about the mind state, and we're going to speak to the chat in a moment, because this is the question I wanted to ask you that I had the theory, because we're now talking about Slott. We're talking about trying to get into his mind. We're talking about the game and what it means and where we're at with it, right? And I was talking about it yesterday on Spurs Kings rival show. Big up Spurs Kings.
Yeah, that was a good show.
That was a fun show.
I don't think I got through all of the hours, but a good piece of it.
That was a fun show. My thinking is, I think Slott is gonna double down on his style, on his approach and his style of play, what he did against Bournemouth. I partly think this is because
Out of arrogance?
Out of arrogance.
Interesting.
I think, and I don't know, it's a small clip, but what again confirmed it is him saying, is it St. James's Park? He's already kind of putting that, I'm talking down to you type of thing.
I didn't interpret that way. I interpreted that as him being, what do you call it? You know when you're kind of alluding to something, but you're not. I'm searching for the word, but I think he was joking. He was clearly joking. Yeah, he was for sure joking. Being sarcastic, maybe a little bit, but carry on.
Being a bit sarcastic. So I think he's going to double. Partly because, and I was saying this to the guys, that obviously he's won the Premier League with Klopp's players, which is not taking away anything from him, but it's with Klopp's players. He made tiny amendments to the system, but he's won the league. This season now, he's spent big money to now form this team into Slott's image. Wirtz, Ekitike, he can't now bench these guys. Otherwise, whatever image he had for the transfer window is not imaging anymore. So he has to. It's like you were saying earlier about who gets sacrificed. Is it going to be Gakpo? Is it going to be Szoboszlai? One of them has to play. Who's going to play? What's he going to do? He has to keep Wirtz on the pitch, right? Obviously, Ekitike is going to play. He deserves to play. But we can see the downside of having Wirtz, that even good players who had a good game, like Gakpo or Szoboszlai, were deliberating whether they're going to be on the bench. I think he's going to double down. I think he's going to double down for a couple of reasons. Partly, obviously, because it's his team and he has to show the owners, he has to show Liverpool, he has to prove to his players that this system, this way, is going to win them the Premier League. I also think he's going to double down because he's going to want to drill it down Newcastle's throats that we're just bigger and better than you. And this is part of the whole, this is where the Isak situation ties in. I think he can see the headlines now. Should Liverpool absolutely, throttle us, for instance, that he's like king of the hill type of thing. I'm kind of banking on that. So what do you think, Bobby?
I disagree with both points.
All right. That's why you're here. That's why you're here.
The last one a little bit more vehemently than the first, but look, I think Michael Edwards and the football organization that John W. Henry has implemented there, I think Liverpool has the first quote-unquote CEO of football. So they have spent a lot of time thinking about organizational design, about how the coach and the recruitment operation work together. So I actually think about that new team, the signings and Slott slightly differently than the way you do.
Right.
In that, I think it is more led by upstairs in terms of ownership of who comes in. Mm-hmm. And Slott is very much that modern manager who just coaches what he's given.
Right.
Okay. And I think that's why they hired him specifically, because he has a deep track record in Holland of getting results with whatever he's given. If you remember that COVID year when their league was abandoned, he was about to win it with some team that I had not heard of for years.
Yeah.
Right. And then you know what he did with Feyenoord. So look, I don't think that is necessarily going to be a problem. Where I think it's a problem is that I think they've given him this is the first time he's had more tools to play with. And the question is he going to choke? Because he's never had this surplus of riches to do.
Right.
He's always been trying to extract performance out of nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's like, okay, what do I do with this name and this name and this name? And then do I please them all? He's never been faced with this before. So I think it could be a slightly different challenge where he's going to be, who do I bench this weekend? And he has to bench one of Szoboszlai, Wirtz, or Gakpo. All three of them, in my mind, cannot play together. And you need all three of them to some extent, Gakpo being the most disposable. It will be difficult for him to drop him, given the fact that he scored last weekend. But he was also largely anonymous in parts of the game. He wasn't impacting the game, but that's the way he is anyway, Gakpo.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I think, as a quote unquote trainer of what he's given, could he choke on the surplus of riches that he's been given? And I think that could be more of an issue than him trying to prove a point and claiming ownership of the team.
So you're kind of getting to the same conclusion, but you're in a different way.
Either way, it's a problem, I think, which he needs to adjust to. But I think of it differently. In terms of him trying to look down on Newcastle, look, Newcastle is probably the second team for everybody. Okay.
Maybe in our day.
No, everybody likes Newcastle. And this is why when Newcastle fans are playing the victim, everybody wants to beat up on them. I take it with a complete pinch of salt. Everybody loves Newcastle. Okay. So I do not think that they're going to be coming into this situation with that kind of arrogant attitude. I actually think he's going to be coming in very respectful. And I think he actually might be fearful. Because I've heard the content creators over the last couple of weeks worrying about whether or not their players are going to get injured.
Against Newcastle.
Yeah! they're probably intimidated. Okay? I mean, they're already afraid of your midfield. I know these guys are going to be looking for blood with the crowd behind them. They are, in fact, nervous. And I think that's going to be more thought in his mind, and he might respond with fear as opposed to arrogance.
And it's going to be Bank Holiday Monday, under the lights.
Lots of beers already.
Lots of beers, lots of drinking.
It's going to be wild.
So, do you think we're going to learn a little bit more about Arne Slot in this situation?
I think we're going to see more prudence than arrogance. Are we going to learn? Are we going to learn a lot about him? He could be exposed, tactically exposed, if he doesn't get that Szoboszlai Wirtz Gakpo thing right. That kind of defending from the front. I think he's got something to solve there, and that's what we're going to find out, if he's closer to solving that or not.
Makes sense. Let's see what the chat are saying. Aaron Kame says Burn will get destroyed against Salah. We need to protect him and double up on him. Yeah, I don't disagree. But I don't know if you remember, Aaron, in the League Cup final, Burn had a really good game against Salah. I know that's not an everyday thing, but yeah, we're going to have to figure out a way to make sure that and you're making me think more and more that we might go for a 5-3-2, because then Joe Linton likes to tuck in sometimes on that left side as well to support. That's going to be a big thing. So maybe we do end up doing that, but it's going to be I'll be surprised. You know, if Eddie Howe and Aunt Slott both listen to me and Bobby, that means they're both going to take a pragmatic approach, and we might get that boring 1-1 draw that Sophie was talking about right at the beginning of the show.
I can see that playing out.
That could just play out. Both sides are like, oh mate, we don't.
Too much at stake. Let's just
honorable
draw and go home. Don't add to the headlines.
So we laughed. I laughed at the beginning. I'm like, I'm probably seeing it might turn out that way. Boy says, well, hello there. God bless you. Hope you're well. Welcome to the show. Martin Bland says Tino has kept Salah quiet the last 3 games. He did with yes and no, because Salah did score goals like on that side and made assists actually, especially in our home game when we drew 3-3. I wish I had time to look at the cup final, because it's the cup final that we kept Salah quiet, but I forgot what we did. Tino was on that left side, and Joe Linton was doing incredible recovery runs on that side as well. With Burn there as well. So I wonder if we might see something similar in terms of repetition in that way. Adrian Pickett says, "Is Bobby on holiday or setting up a shell company?" Are you setting up a shell company, Bobby?
There are no shell companies in Bermuda, but I am managing one. So you're close, Adrian.
El Capo says, Botman back in full training without knee support or strapping. In that case, we go 5 across the back. Everybody's feeling tempted for that 5 across the back, Bobby.
I think it's a no-brainer.
It shuts down Ekitike, doesn't it?
And you need to, I think.
It shuts down Ekitike. It makes it harder for them to go across the back, but it gives them a little. Sorry, go on, Bobby. Go on.
No, you finish.
No, I was just going to say, but it affects our press from the front a little bit. It invites them on a little bit more than we want, I think. I don't know if we want to be in that mode. Like, I don't know if we want to be in that. I don't know if you remember when we had a game against Man City about 2 years ago, and De Bruyne had to get off the bench to rescue them. They were 2-1 down at one point, and we were doing It was a really commendable performance. And if it wasn't for De Bruyne, they would have won 2-1.
Look, Eddie, how he usually wheels out that 5 at the back against the big 6 teams, right? Traditional big 6.
Yes,
and it's very effective. It's very effective. I don't see why he changes that tomorrow. Like his work for him before. I worked for him in the cup final. You all did do the 5 at the back, didn't you, against Liverpool?
Yeah. Did Botman? I forgot now. Well, let me see that cup final.
Was it
team.
Arsenal? Was it
Arsenal? Yeah.
I felt you did 5 at the back in the final as well.
Let me see. Let me see if I can share my screen. Let me bring it up. Here we go. Fot Mob. Newcastle versus Arsenal. Not Arsenal. Arsenal don't do cup finals. Sorry. Liverpool. Sorry, Arsenal. Sorry, guys. My jokes. EFL Cup. Yeah, so that finished obviously 2-1. What was our lineup? No, on paper it's 4 in the back. Shaw, Burn, Livramento, Trippier. But what?
Oh, it's interesting. Okay. Yeah. So maybe it was Arsenal that you did 5.
What would happen a lot is Tonali would drop in between Burn and Shaw. Doing that situation there.
But you want him occupying Wirtz, right?
Yes. Yeah, maybe that 5-3-2 is looking a lot more tempting. Maybe that 5-3-2 is looking a lot more tempting. Diaz obviously playing.
Yeah, if Botman's fit, it would make sense to start that way.
Yeah, he is. And what Eddie Howe does really well, like especially for that cup final, people will remember that I think he partly sacrificed. We played Liverpool about a month, 6 weeks, like 6 weeks before that final, and we played it totally different. And I think Eddie Howe knew then what he was going to, even before then, how he intended to play Liverpool in the final. And I think he may have held back, not held back, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a slightly different way we set up against Liverpool. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 5-3-2. Songs 4K says that could be Soboslai and Jones vacating the space. Slott noted it after the Palace game. Oh, so Soboslai and Jones vacating the space. What does that mean? So Slott noted it after the Palace game. Sobo and Jones didn't listen. Oh, right. So he gave instructions to Soboslai and Jones, and they didn't listen. So could he take both of them off? That would be crazy. He needs Soboslai. He needs Soboslai for this game. If he takes off Soboslai, it's going to be okay. Little Agent Pickett says Liverpool's best shot is to park the bus against you. Lee Mag says Liverpool are getting it Monday night. Adrian Pickett says Liverpool's best shot is to park the bus against us. Martin Bland says there's a strong chance we move quickly on Strand Larsen. Okay, yes. Some transfer news and get him in over the weekend. 60 million bid in. They bought him a few months ago for 35, so tidy profit, even more than Cunha. I don't know, Bobby, if you've got any thoughts on Strand Larsen.
I think I only saw him for the first time last week, and there was nothing significant about him. But look, I think Wissa is a player that Newcastle needs to get. Right now, could it be Jackson to Villa, Ollie Watkins to Newcastle, though?
I can't see it.
From what perspective?
I can't see it because Villa.
Villa doesn't need Jackson and Watkins.
They don't need Jackson and Watkins. You're right.
I'm Malin for the UEFA Cup.
I think Newcastle really wants Strand Larsen.
Why?
And I think because the way our team is built as a system for a centre forward. So Larsen's already scored 14 goals for Wolves, having to do a lot of defensive work for them. Playing now for a team where he's gonna get more. He typically even gets like one shot, maybe 1.3 shots volumes per game. We're playing for Newcastle, who's going to get into the 2s and 3s with inverted wingers, pacey wingers around him, and a defense that's there to create for him. So in the box, he's quite good, and he's going to be in the box a lot more often playing for Newcastle. So I do see him getting good output. He's not going to be a self-creator like an Isak. You're not going to find those players apart from Ekitike. But I can see why Newcastle or Eddie Howe and obviously the recruitment team are looking at that sort of profile in my view. I can hear the silence of you being unconvinced, Bobby. Just in the silence, I can hear you're unconvinced.
Yeah, I have different views on the players that you guys should be going for. The names that you always call.
You just want Jackson. You just want us to buy Jackson. That's what you want. That's what you want.
I don't actually. I kept saying I think Wissam and Kuku is those are the two players that you guys need, and call the window.
Do you think you're missing Jackson from a Chelsea perspective with that draw against Palace?
No, I think that draw against Palace was the exact problems that we saw. What we saw against Palace was the way Maresca set up against Newcastle. And you and I sat down. We had that conversation
We did.
last night.
We did.
And he rolled out the exact same rubbish in that match. And it is the arrogance of the man, because he went to the Club World Cup, ditched his football, won it, comes back and starts over with his crap again. We saw it, but you and I sat down the night before with Mitch and predicted exactly how that team was going to be set up and how it was going to play. And he comes and he rolls it out last weekend. We should have lost. But anyway, no. I think the profile of striker. I think. You see, if I were to come in your chat commenting on your game against Villa, and this is where I kept being critical of fans wanting to change Murphy. Right, Elanga proved exactly the point that I've always been making, which is that decisiveness in front of goal and up front, making the right choices, are really important. And when you have Murphy with the confidence that he had, he was always making the right choices. Now, he was firing when Isak was there as well. But to lose Isak and to lose him as well, and to bring a Jackson and a Elanga to be making poor choices in front of goal, that's a terrible idea. Right? So no, I wouldn't recommend that.
There you have it, folks. Song 4K says Slott said NUFC had more intensity at St. James's Park last year and Cup game, a challenge to his team. Yes, he did say that, and I agree with that analysis as well. Probably is well. I also think that he was, like I was saying to Bobby at the beginning, I think he was trying to tamper. What's the word? Is it tamper? What's the word to kind of temper? Yeah, temper the whole thing around Isak, pressure, huge clash, Monday night. He's almost, he's not going to say it. I think, and Bobby probably disagree. I think probably Songs 4K are probably more right. It's probably more of a challenge to his team rather than what I'm about to say, where him saying that made me think like, oh, can you please not be intense, is what he said. Or not be as, like, we already know you're intense. We don't want it to be any more intense than it has to be, if that makes sense. I think like he's trying to temper the whole, Isak, and everything else.
Right.
Because he doesn't want that Newcastle turning up at his doorstep. So, I don't know.
To be fair, Larsen did have 14 goals in the league.
He did. Yeah, you're reading the stats now.
Well, yeah, I mean, you asked me the question. I was really harsh on the guy. He's better than Jackson.
He is.
He's got a goal.
That's what I was saying. So if you can imagine him in a Newcastle setup,
might be a good shout.
Might be a good shout. He's gone back to the wine cellar, folks. Adrian Pickett's at this early stage with his squad issues, Slott would happily take a point on Monday. Do you agree with that, Bobby? Or do you think I think he's gonna?
I think so. If I were him, this is what I'm saying. I think they're coming more with fear than disrespect. They know they've ruffled your feathers. They know they've gotten you fired up, right? So he's going to be like, you know what, let's just go and not disgrace ourselves. Let's not give anybody talking points. Let's pack the midfield and get out of here quietly.
That's not the Klopp approach, is it?
That's not a Klopp approach, but Slott is a lot more pragmatic and a lot more calculating. Plays a longer game, right? So
he does.
I would agree with that.
He wants to win the league. He doesn't really. He's not going to put all his life, his savings on winning at St. James's Park. He wants to win the league.
He's a very practical man, right? Like his entire philosophy is like he ain't wedded to no systems or anything like that. He just does what's intelligent at the time. Right? And what's intelligent for him right now is to go in there, not get injured, and not get it burst.
Martin Bland says oh gosh, no, I missed Agents. Sorry, Agents. Feels contrary in the WWE narrative. I don't know. I think a lot of people, maybe I am, but I don't think I am. I think I thought the more I'm doing the show and talking to Bobby, talking to you guys, my initial thought was I felt that Slott was going to come and try and embarrass us. But the more I'm talking about it and we broke down the tactics and we're kind of like, it would be dangerous to try to do that. It would be dangerous. It could really backfire. Yeah, like it could be very, very, very dangerous. You could. I was going to say you could have a Tottenham 5-0 in 20 minutes. It's not going to be that, but it could be punishing if you really try to take the mick like that. And I think Bobby's right. I think a few of you guys are right that Slott is trying to take the emotion out of the game. Martin Bland says the Brazilian brothers will make it more of a UFC narrative. Wirtz will get an introduction to the Premier League for sure. El Capo, Liverpool's on-field weaknesses is their defense. We have more than the capability to capitalize and make them pay. And I mean pay. I think that's a reference to Isak's 150. Adrian Pickett says the chat is so mellow without our Merseyside cousins. It has, everybody's a lot more everyone's a lot more thoughtful, cerebral.
I'll tell you, I've been observing your numbers. They've really been driving up your likes and your subscriptions. Huh? I don't know who's been visiting. Do you think they're Liverpool fans or Newcastle fans?
It's a great question. You know what? I don't really know how to look for the stats too much. So I don't know. We've had a lot of like different fans: Liverpool, Arsenal. A lot of new subscribers, Newcastle fans coming. I think it's a mixture. But I haven't looked at the numbers. Songs 4K says I put Wirtz on at 60. Okay. So when the bookings have been made and football start. Yeah, that would be a super practical approach. I'll be very impressed with Slott if he benches Wirtz and he puts in Soboslai, Gravenberch, McAllister, keeps Gakpo, and he puts Wirtz after 60 minutes. That'll be super impressive. I think that'll be impressive. I don't know about you, Bobby. I think that'll be super impressive if he does that.
I think he has to play Wirtz. I mean, if only for Wirtz's own development, right? I think Wirtz needs to be in these games to really start to get.
Bobby, we can't hear you. You've gone to the cellar again. Mighty Mag FC says it's going to be crazy on Monday. I agree. Absolutely. Cameron Elder, good to see you. God bless you. As a Liverpool fan, was just speaking about Bobby was just asking that what was the what's drawn so many people, and again, incredible Liverpool fan. As a Liverpool fan, we have players who play in South America. I'm sure they will be fine. And you know what? I forgot about the Argentinian Brazilian thing as well. We've got that to come as well. The Brazilian brothers against McAllister.
Is there a problem with my audio, or you can hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, clear. Adrian Pickett says we'll be so exhausted by the anticipation Monday could be the poor best.
I think it will be, actually. It's going to be a draw.
It's going to be just like a boring draw. Like, I can't believe this. Cameron Elder says, I think not having Frimpong may help us. Gomez will sit, and I think so too. And Just Gurkha's bobbing on. Yeah, I think so too.
I think Gomez is not fit, though.
You don't think he's fit? Bradley, isn't it?
It's Bradley who's going to play.
Bradley, yeah. Songs 4K says, and we've got, I expect a game like 23-24 at St. James's Park. NUFC rout LFC badly in first half, then get picked off in the second. If Newcastle score first and early, interesting times ahead. Genius, not to mention actually, because we're talking about Isak, Ekitike. We're going to get Ekitike as well, but nobody's talking about Ekitike. Sorry, Ekitike. Genius, Ronaldo says 5-2-3 versus Arsenal in the semis. Okay. 5-2-3. Okay. So yeah, that's the winning formula. Cameron Elder, as a Liverpool fan, are you guys worried that the players may get carried away like a red card? That's a great question, Cameron Elder. And I think what may have helped to this, well, it might change. The game isn't on Saturday. It's on Monday. It's 10 days for the game, so it's going to take a long time to build up. And the whole situation with the Instagram post and everything else is a little bit while away. And I think Eddie and Arne Slott would have had a lot of time to address the situation with the players. However, 2-3 days before the game, it's going to get all amped up again. But I think both Eddie and Arne Slott, the more we've talked about it now, like I've said with Bobby and you guys, the more I think if you're the manager, you want the players to be amped up and ready, but you don't want you know what could happen if you let yourselves get carried away in this. It could hurt. Either team can really, really hurt themselves. So I don't think it's in the interest of them to do that. Could it happen? Yes. If you're saying, can it happen? Is it a possibility? Yes, it can. It is definitely a possibility. And there's different layers. Like he talks about the Brazilian brothers and McAllister being Argentinian and that kind of stuff. And Ekitike and Isak and all that whole situation. Yes, it could happen. But I think both clubs will work towards not doing that. Song 4K says Slot makes a lot of pointed criticism of players. Jones had the defensive issues noted after Palace. Sobo for losing possession after Bournemouth. Hey, you play for the Premier League champions and you win the league in your first year in the Premier League. You've got a little bit of credit in the bank to be able to do that. Sam says no Isak on Monday will be. By the way, did Slot really say I take it Isak isn't playing on Monday? I heard that quote. I don't know if anybody knows if that's true. If he said that.
I didn't see that.
If he said that doesn't help for him. If he said that. Songs 4K says, and we're going to wrap up soon, folks, in 5 minutes. Songs 4K says, Slot should have a plan to take the temperature out of the first half. Expect a few appeals for bookings, whistle, red card blow. Yeah, I think they're going to do their best to slow it down, aren't they? Or you just meet the occasion. Cameron Elder says, Liverpool can't play to the atmosphere, just play football. But you know a St. James's Park atmosphere. Cameron Elder says, Slot's message will be simple. Play football, not the occasion. Let them do that. Yeah, absolutely. Cameron Elder says, come on, Bobby. These are champions. They will be fine. We beat City at City, Man United at Old Trafford. So what do you think of that challenge, Bobby? That, look, Liverpool have done it at all the big stadiums. What's it, we can do it at St. James's Park as well.
You mean that they'll be thinking that they can win at St. James's Park?
Or maybe handle the occasion and win at St. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the occasion is not going to be a thing for them. But I think they know that the crowd is going to be behind the home team, right? So they know. I think they'll be up for it. I think, and they could handle it. But look, the margin of difference between these two teams is not that significant, right? And if Eddie Howe sets up with 5 at the back and Slot plays both Sobo and Wirtz in a four-man, if you like, midfield, that's going to be a dead game. It's just going to nullify each other. Right? So I think that's the most likely outcome.
So there you have it. Song 4K says Slot's telling his team to expect some heat and be ready to match it, but he'll want to cool the game down. And look, Van Dijk's and they know what to do. Ben Jacobs, we've got a bomber. Ben Jacobs remain firm in their. I'm assuming Wolves remain firm in their Strand Larsen not for sale stance despite Newcastle interest. Yeah, we can.
What's become a whistle? What's going on with that?
Brentford have asked for 60 million.
Which is appropriate for a 20-goal a season striker, no?
Yeah, one season, and he's 29 years old. Is it the best use of funds? I don't know.
I had him already, but yeah, Carry on. Yeah.
I
29 is nothing. I think you can easily get 5 years out of him. So I
possibly.
I think he's young enough. Newcastle is I think a little bit too preoccupied with youth right now. But you'll have to go through that cycle of being let down by kids to realize that you want experienced players back.
Well, we had one of the oldest teams in the league, about third, second oldest team in the league. It's just dropped recently to 26.3, something like that, but it was like 28 before the transfer window. Yeah. Warbojog says, and good, great to see you, Warbojog. God bless you. Hey Phil, hey chat, late for the party. You're late, but it doesn't matter. The fact that you're here is what matters. Great to see you, Warbojog. Always great comments as well from Warbojog. Songs 4K, LFC got overheated and rattled in the last 2 visits. Well, Bobby, I mean, from your point of view as a Chelsea fan, when Chelsea visited to Newcastle, obviously you conceded in the first 2-3 minutes, I remember.
It was early, yeah.
Yeah, but they recovered, obviously, did a little bit better. I mean, but Chelsea's team, in terms of experience, is different to Liverpool's. Yeah,
it's not a good comparison. I think Liverpool going to handle themselves well. I just think they'll be a lot more cautious and not disrespectful.
Sorry, go on, Bobby. You saying?
I said, as Newcastle fans think, I don't think they're going to be disrespectful. I think they'll be very respectful.
I'm agreeing more and more with that. Max NUFC says, Sophie, get on the mic at the start, and at the start that will get the lads rallied up. Absolutely. El Capo, why don't we put a bid in for interest? We just might pull it off. Songs 4K, the dangers of shopping late in the window. Sellers know who's desperate. Yeah, we've got no choice. I don't know if we've had tons of we've tried to shop early. Trust me, we really tried. It hasn't worked out.
Nottingham Forest have done a good job. I think they're going to end up now. I think they're trying to get their 6th player now. They've actually not done bad.
They've done well. Douglas Luiz and others as well.
Yeah.
Wobojog says, a couple more comments and we'll wrap up the show. Wobojog says, did we discuss the Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk remaster at the SJM this weekend? I've missed something. What's happened? Do you know what that means, Bobby? You'll have to let us know, Wobojog, at the SJP. You'll have to let us know. Mike Phillip, with the Isak situation with Liverpool, are they now becoming the new Man United? Who, Liverpool? In terms of buying just extravagant players and stuff like that. I think they're trying to build a dynasty, but there's a thin line between building a dynasty and then becoming decadent to the point of forgetting what got you there in the first place. And I think what Bobby said earlier around someone like Slott is reflective of Liverpool. He's someone that's had to deal with lack of resources or not as much resources and doing the best of what he has. And he's done that very, very, very well. His new challenge or his new issue or problem is now that they're overwashed with resources. How are they going to do that? Because Pep Guardiola knows what to do with resources, right? Does Slot, and we're going to find out. A couple more songs 4K, the transfer window of shame. All right, so I don't know. I don't take it as that. Bobby, chat. We have talked about. We did a really good, extensive breakdown of the game for Liverpool. I want us to start sending in our score predictions for the game. Should have asked for it ages ago, to be honest. Folks, do send in your score predictions for the game. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. I'm gonna give Bobby the honor first and say, great, my Mike's already in there quick 2-2. 4-2 Martin Bland. Martin, is that to Newcastle? Let me know, folks. Let me know. What's your score predictions? Bobby, what's your score prediction for the game? And can you give us some goal scorers as well? Who are the goal scorers, if any?
I'm going to go for 1-1. I'm gonna go with Ilanga on the break,
Oh wow, Ilanga. Okay, okay.
and I am gonna go with Ekitike to score.
Ooh. Okay.
I like
Okay.
that boy a lot. I'm actually really impressed with it. I'm surprised that City went for Marmoush.
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
is
yeah.
also a good player.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I agree with Bobby. Um, I just, I think we can win though. I think we can win. I think Newcastle can win the game 2-1. I've got, yeah, like Wobblejog says, it's who scores first. I think we can win 2-1. It's a dangerous scoreline, but I think we can. I think we can do it. I've got Gordon, and then I'm going to go for Ramsey off the bench.
I don't like Gordon down the middle. What do you feel about that?
I think he plays better down the middle when he's coming from the left, but he's got no choice at the moment. But he does a superb job in terms of his press. He does a really, really superb job with his press.
So would
He's
it
only.
not make more sense to put Joe Linton there
I
and bring
think.
Lassie in?
I think it makes more sense to put Jacob Murphy on the right, Ilanga on the left, and no, excuse me, Jacob Murphy on the right. What was I going to say? I was going to say it.
You would have put Ilanga down on the left and Gordon down the middle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they can interchange. So Gordon and Ilanga can interchange, really. I was going to say Osola, but I don't think Osola's ready for this game.
I think you need Murphy on the pitch because you need somebody who will take the chance when it does fall. And for me, he's the only one you've got right now that can do that.
I agree. Folks, you got it here first. Bobby's given a 1-1 prediction. I've given a 2-1. A few of you said a lot of people predicting a Newcastle victory, which is interesting. I'm loving our confidence as well, and no sending offs either as well. Matt Lee says 1-0 and the goal scored by Burn or Ilanga. That'd be fantastic. Guys, chat, you've been absolutely phenomenal. Again, always burning the midnight oil with me. I know the likes are up, the subs are up. You guys have been absolutely phenomenal. I'm looking for so much more to this game. I want to say a big thank you to Bobby Fairview, again being an excellent guest, adding just class to the show as always, and with his perspectives and everything else. So guys, thank you so much, Bobby. Bobby, where can folks find you, by the way?
At Bobby Fairview on X.
At Bobby Fairview on X. All right, folks, make sure you have a great evening, day, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Take care of yourselves, and God bless, folks.